this show is healthy to do.
We are live. Well, that's one of the reasons why it's not on the Indie Volt network.
Right, yeah.
You have to go over to Lola, the Indie Princess, in order to see backer shots, because Varian and Lola want to keep that separate from Indie Volt, even though they talk about it on the show all the time.
Right, yeah. It's like, even though the ironic thing is that Smirnoff is the official sponsor of Geekasm, but it doesn't have anything to do with backer shots, because that's definitely not enjoying responsibly.
They'll have to sue themselves, won't they?
Yeah, exactly.
I see Russ is awake this morning.
Hey,
Russ, I'm going to send you a link.
It's 2 o'clock.
Yes.
Well, for us, it's this morning.
Well, I don't know. Last night I had to take a nap at 2, so it's possible. Right?
Yeah, and I've been keeping artist hours almost like Glenn. I'm lucky if I can cat nap at this point.
Yeah, really.
I just think
way behind.
I just think you're dead a long time, so I'll get on with it.
Yes. That's it. Hey, everybody, come on in. We see you there. Hit that like button. If you're out there on YouTube or Facebook, they need to know that you're here. We love it that you're here. You're welcome aboard. This is the Sunday Funnies for the 27th of June. This is our last Sunday Funnies for the first half of 2021.
Oh, God, really already? Oh, come on.
It'll soon be the third year of COVID.
Yeah, really.
What did you do? What did you do in COVID wars, Dad?
We made comics. That's all we could do.
So I think it's
on walls.
It's going to turn out being the COVID scare.
Yeah.
And now that we've mentioned COVID twice, we're probably flagged on YouTube.
Oh, that's true. That's right. I keep forgetting about that.
Is that bad? Can you not do that?
Oh, they've relaxed a lot the last couple of months than what they were, but they were really bad for a while. And there's still certain keywords that you're not supposed to be using. There's an R word that rhymes with ape, and an N word, a couple of N words actually. There's like 3 or 4 N words. One that rhymes with the game Yahtzee.
Yeah, can you not say that?
You know,
I mean, it's like
but a little flag pops up in the old algorithms, and they start looking at you. So
I mean, it's ridiculous, because it's like, then how are we supposed to have a conversation about these things?
Oh, you're not.
Right?
No. Yeah. There was a while there that any reference to China and COVID at once got you warned and a ban threat from Facebook.
Nice.
I posted and I just reposted it, the picture too, on my timeline, where they have a toy card of a molded plastic version of a virus, and then along the bottom of the card, it's got printed "Made in China" with a red circle on it. Wow! That got me warned, and the picture was tossed on Facebook. But that was a couple months ago.
Russ.
I just reposted it. Good morning, Russ.
Russ,
good
morning.
And it's like, what's a shame too, is like, I wanted to show, I finally got my books from the printer, and I wanted to show the hollow nude cover that I did, because it's so beautiful. And it's like, oh great, we'll get kicked off. We'll get kicked off the air for sure.
Let's use a post-it note. A cut down post-it note over the naughty bits.
It kind of takes away from the hollow experience.
Hasn't John Celeste got in trouble?
Oh yeah, he did. Yes, he did. They held his money until he cleaned up his thing.
Campaign.
Until he removed the cartoon illustration of a genitalia and some boobies.
Yeah.
Because we all know that if you can see that, the world will end.
Well, you see, the funny thing is that he went the entire campaign without a problem. And it's only when they were about to give him his money, they were like, "Oh, bro, wait a minute. You violated our terms of service." And it's like, really? You couldn't have said that from the very beginning?
Greens.
They can hold that money for a few extra days. They can catch a little bit of interest, a few extra pennies.
Yeah, exactly.
Garrett Toomey says, good morning.
Good morning.
Hope you're doing well. Brustrolian says, well, that was a handy time for me to pop on YouTube. The Sunday Funnies are on. All right, me blabbers.
Hello.
All right, me babbers. How you doing?
Blabbers, hey. Critical Blast says, howdy, hey. Critical. Hope you're doing well. Critical Blast.
Good morning, Russ.
That's you.
Morning, Russ. Morning.
Yeah, sorry I was shouting there.
I think somebody's hijacked your website there.
Critical Blast. Is that RJ Carter?
You've
Oh,
doxed him.
ask an early morning question. Sorry.
Yeah, no, don't make us think this early in the morning.
I'm trying to think too. Seth says, yo, Seth, hope you're doing well. Marv says, Arrow
Marv.
buddies and Arrowverse friends.
Hello.
Not Arrowverse. Arrowverse is copyright to CW.
Oh no.
We're going to have to come up.
Speaking of copyrights, we're going to have to do an entire show just on that.
We probably should, actually.
Yeah.
We're going to have to come up with a new term.
Good.
So
Uh-huh.
the minute they used that, I went, ugh.
Yeah, I know.
And that show isn't even on the air anymore. Seth Goes, can't have a conversation, but you can throw around words
that's absolutely
at people to cancel them.
Right, because it's like, they throw words with no expectation of explaining themselves.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
It. Yeah.
I forgot how that worked.
Yeah. Amen to that. Critical Blast. And yes, Randy. Yes. RJ. Hey, I read your interview, Alan Parsons. Good on you.
Yeah.
I love that guy's work. So what you're saying is if you show an image of a beer bug suffering a naked Chinese person punching a Yahtzee,
I think that's bingo. Yeah, I think that's bingo.
Yeah, that's like auto bingo.
Yeah, cancellation bingo.
That's those flags popping up.
But
that's
also,
it. I've got a whole line.
That's the problem when you have a company, a multi-billion-dollar company that only has like 1,500 employees, so they depend on algorithms to do the heavy lifting. So there's no context for anything. They just type in words because in the end, going back to the Loki trademark thing, so a lot of it. So what's been really happening? It's not that Disney, or at least from what I've been reading, it's not that Disney has been sending out cease and desists, but like platforms like Redbubble and Two Fury and all those things that they've been preemptively putting in setting up their algorithms to look for certain tags and suspending accounts because of those tags. And of course, all the alleged Marvel trademarks like Loki, which is not a trademark technically. No. They're all these accounts using it are getting flagged. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing is, though, all the people who are complaining that they got flagged, that the problem is that they're getting flagged for actual copyright infringement, because they're also using Marvel in the tags, and it's they're using they're doing Marvel bootlegs. So technically, they're kind of getting busted for what they should be getting busted for.
I think I'm going to trademark the word tag.
I know, right?
There you
are. But the thing is, though, the whole thing. Yeah, I know. Yeah, right. Really, and so the whole thing with Loki is getting tied in with that. So it's like I said, it's like Marvel technically doesn't have to do anything; they just have to make people paranoid enough to do it for them.
And then, of course, on top of that, it all comes from a place where people aren't educated enough to know that Loki is actually a.
Oh my God! Really? It's like
Norse god
knows how to read the basic Norse mythology Wikipedia page.
Yeah. People don't know that crap. They don't know that stuff.
I think that's because they can't read more than anything else.
Yeah, probably.
And it's like because it seems that there's people already. There's people pissed off that Loki's not bisexual. It's like, well, technically he's not if you read the wiki.
No.
No, technically it's there's more to the myth than that.
Yeah. You want to go find out. You want real bisexual stuff and really weird trans gods.
Right, exactly.
Stuff.
It's like
go back to original mythology.
Right, exactly.
You find it everywhere.
Exactly.
It's everywhere. No.
Dude is Sleipnir's mom. Just putting that out there.
MCU Loki is made no. There was no suggestion that he was anything but straight. But then that's MCU Loki. Right. Who cares?
Right. Well, but the problem is it's MCU Loki that's going to water down the knowledge of the actual mythology. There's people who never even heard of Thor or Loki until the movies. Like, forget about the comics. They don't even know the characters from the comics. And now they're thinking that Loki and Thor are Marvel things. Yeah. So it's like, are these people who are going to turn around and say, no, this is based on Norse mythology, and that's some crazy shit in there.
As it was, they were slimlined, as it were, for the comics by Jack Kirby and what have you. Mm-hmm. They were kind of smoothed over
Right.
to be those perfect characters for comic books,
Mhm.
especially from the time. The actual the actual Norse mythology is quite fruity.
I mean,
And,
that's why it's
yeah.
like, honestly, it's like, that's why you don't see a lot of Greek myths in
No.
comics.
Right.
Oh, if you really want to get complicated there.
Yeah.
And by fruity, Russ isn't talking about apples and oranges.
No.
No.
Although the Marvel Loki
Just
and the
Pride
Norse Loki are apples and oranges. So
I
that's
they are.
fine.
For
I
itself.
haven't seen any of the films all the way through, but
No.
I did see a clip with Kate Blanchett in that. She looked quite fruity in that. It looked all right.
She was all the flavors in that one.
What a wonderful wardrobe.
Yeah. Very nice.
No, Dave, no.
No,
Quiver
of course.
verse, no. Not
No,
gonna work.
that's no.
Not gonna work. Thanks for the suggestion, though. We
Quiver
appreciate
is a
your
whole
thoughts.
other different problem.
Yeah, that would be around here. That would just that would shocker comics maybe. I'd have a Quiver verse.
Right, no.
Thanks for listening, everybody. This is the Sunday Funnies for the 27th of June, 2021. I am your host, Randy Zimmerman. I am a longtime alternative and independent comics creator, publisher, everything that you can imagine. I've done everything in this direct market that you can think of, including coordinating conventions and retailing for a good decade. That was a while ago, though. That was a few decades ago, actually. Met my wife while I was retailing. I'm coming to you, and nobody else, everybody else says where they're from, so I got to start adding this. I'm coming to you live from just a little south of the safe water line of Flint, Michigan, here in wonderful Burton. It's shaped like an L. My wonderful city is, just because Flint kept munching out all of the land at one point when GM decided to keep putting up plants just barely outside of the city limit line. And they said, nope, city limits now. Thank you, city taxes. So eventually Burton said, holy crap, we're half gone here. So at one time it was bigger than Flint. Now it's just an L that goes around Flint. But anyway, I'm on the south side. So, hey, I'm real happy to be here and part of the Indie Volt Radio Network. Varian is not yet awake and with us yet this morning, but I do believe the radio is on. So if you're listening to us all around the world on indievolt.com, Indie Volt Radio, we appreciate you dearly. We don't have our numbers in front of us until Varian gets up and around, if he gets up and around this morning at all. So we'll know then. But we're here for the Sunday Funnies to talk about the more lighthearted and whimsical side of comics and to have a little fun. Trico, the Professor Lutkins is in the house.
Hello.
Morning, Professor. Hope you're doing well. And also joining us today is my co-host, Daphne Lage. Daphne, introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Daphne Lage, and I am a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. And I have been self-publishing comics since 1992 because I don't know any better. And I am known for the funny animal fantasy adventure Tall Tales, which everybody should have by now. Almost all the packages are out because there's some of you who didn't fill out your surveys. So if you want your book, fill out your survey. And I am also known for my fantasy soap opera drama, Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which I just got the books from the printer. So these Kickstarter rewards are going out. They're going to start going out this week. So thank you, everybody, for supporting that. And you can read both my comics online at Tall Tales, TAILS online.com and egoworks.com, EGOWORKS. And you can check out all my videos on how I make my comics on YouTube at Daphne Lage, Lage Art.
Now, Kickstarter doesn't give you the addresses of the backers when they back?
Well, they have to fill out the survey.
That seems like an added step to me.
It kind of is. So it's like, so if you don't fill out the survey, I don't get your address, which means I can't send out your rewards.
Wow. Because I've only done an Indiegogo in the past, and they have the way their background board is set up. I've got their name and address right there. So
really, okay, because I would love to send out the very last of these stragglers, but until they send out the survey, I can't do anything.
That just seems aggravating.
It is.
Because, like I said,
I got a box there full of stuff that needs to go out.
Well, I'm there looking at everybody's address and everybody's email address just right off the bat, because for that, and that's the Indie Volt Revolt book that we had a campaign for, and that we closed down. But I'm really looking. That's at the printer, by the way. Anybody that's listening that doesn't know that by now, I sent out an update on it. But it's at the printer. I'm waiting to get word back to come and pick it up, and then we'll be shipping those out to everybody. But I wasn't aware of that with Kickstarter. I'm gonna have to go back up on. I've got a couple Kickstarters that haven't been fulfilled just to see. Yeah, that if you don't, if I need to fill out a survey or something.
Yeah, if you don't fill out the survey, they can't send it to you, and they expire after a year.
Oh, that's good at all.
So
your access, your access expires.
You can just keep your money then.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, I got the money. I got the money from everybody. So as long as they paid, I got their money. It's just that they can't get their stuff until they fill out the survey.
That doesn't seem well thought through, in my opinion.
Because it's the little things,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing though with doing something and then you come back and look at the flaws in the system, and then you build a better mousetrap and you just keep going.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what Varian has done with the Liberty distribution. He sat for a few years and looked at how distribution worked, and he had an investor that was coming in that wanted to copy Diamond's model, and he's like, no, we don't want to do that at all.
Right. Yeah.
So that's Diamond's the example of what not to do. We want to go through and do things completely different, and that's what he's done. So that's why the Arrow Comics books that I'm working on now are going to be offered through Liberty, and he's not going to offer them until he's got them in his hands. So the first set of books are just about at the printer, so I'm looking forward to seeing those. In my hand. Brustrolian says I was born in 1992. That's okay.
Baby.
We won't hold it against you.
Baby.
1992. Blimey.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, he can leave.
Well, didn't Odin just have a birthday the other day? He's 29, and I'm like, oh my god!
I wonder if they know that. I wonder if they know Loki's been around for 500 years.
Well.
In one shape or another.
The bird is extra chatty today.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is.
And for our radio audience, if you hear a bird if you hear a noise in the background, that's Daphne's bird.
Yeah, so it's like, so you either do not have a smoke detector going off, a garbage truck in your house, or or whatever he decides to do.
It's Varian waking up.
Yeah, exactly.
And because it's too early on Sunday morning for most people here in the States to be up and around, unless they're running to church, we've got a couple of guests here from across the pond. So, Mr. Glenn Fleming, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks, Randy. Hi, everybody. My name is Glenn Fleming. I'm an English writer, artist, cartoonist, and publisher. I've written and published books on many different subjects, such as the JFK assassination, a couple of science fiction novels, a World Cup soccer book, children's book called The Little Green Tree. I wrote a book about the Apollo astronauts who didn't go to the moon. And I wrote and illustrated a book about my father's account as a paratrooper on D-Day. That's called 8 Seconds. I like to travel the world, and I've been to some great places. And last year I published a book about my trip to Rapa Nui, which most people know as Easter Island. That's got 220 pages taken from my extensive diary I took there, and a history of the island, and it contains over 100 photographs, some great stuff in there. Not my photographs, but I'm talking about what's in the photographs. Brilliant. You should get that one. And in 2019, I published a 120-page book called Jack Kirby Variations on a Theme to bring us back to comics. And that features articles about Kirby from other writers and my meetings with him. I currently publish Comics Unlimited, which is a 100-page bi-monthly magazine about comics. And last but not least, in 2017, I released a DVD about my 2 visits to Kirby's house. And I've got a new website coming up soon, and I'm going to release an updated version of that film, which can be streamed from the website. The website isn't ready yet, but it will be called gbfmedia.co. And I'm sure I'll be able to get to mention this when it's up and running. It should be in a week or so.
Absolutely.
Cool. And you can get all my books and stuff on Amazon. And if you want to get in touch with me, I'm on Facebook or an email on comicsunlimitedmagazine@gmail.com.
Awesome.
That's about it.
It's always great to have a narrow focus of interest.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, like I said, you're dead a long time. You've got to get on with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Also joining us today is Mr. Russ Leach. Russ, introduce yourself.
Hello. Yes, I'm from the UK as well, but don't blame me. It's not my fault. I was
Nobody's
just born
blaming
here.
you.
It's an accident of birth. But you know, we're privileged. It's the homeland. It's the UK.
Yeah.
There you go.
Everybody hates us, but they all want to live here.
They want to speak the language, don't they? There we go. So,
although don't talk about all your summer homes in Spain.
When you're allowed to go, but we won't say anything more about that. It's the hand cock. Let's get on with the subject at hand. I'm a comic book artist. I've had some shaves in the past with Marvel and other people like BBC and drawing Doctor Who and close shaves. I've drawn some stuff for Marvel and done some stuff for Doctor Who and Cartoon Network and people like that. I've had a career in publishing, art, illustration, design, and art direction. And so I chose to come back to comics in 2010. And since then, I have been drawing in anger while shouting at parked cars. Since my more recent brushes with larger publishers, I've decided to create my own books. So my own book is Only Death Can Save Us. It's had quite a great campaign. I've had a really successful campaign. Very, very humbled by the support. There it is, flying past the screen up in Randy's place. Boom, there it goes. And they can come and try and get Loki and other gods.
Oh yeah, no, for real.
They're never going to get Death, and if they come, he'll be waiting. You can pick up the book at onlydeathcansavus.com.
Disney did try to copyright Dave.
I'm sure they tried. Ain't going to happen. You can find out more about the book. Although it is closing its in-demand section at the end of this week, but you will be able to pick it up through Arrow Comics as it's been reprinted with some extra content, and that will start in August. You can find me as Comic Book Black Belt on YouTube. You can find out more about me at russleach.com or comicbookblackbelt.com. Like I say, onlydeathcansavus.com. You can also find me on the Instagrams, the Twitter, and the Fleecebook, and all stuff like that. And if you want to keep up to date, make sure and sign up to my email list. So that's me. I've done it all now. You can leave me alone.
There's the copy on screen of the first Arrow title. It looks really good. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I've literally just finished the cover for issue 3. So there you go.
Sweet. Anything that you can show or anything you want to show?
Yeah, I can show that.
I'm not going to force you.
No, it's going to go. It will be.
Nobody else is going to. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be previewed in issue 2 anyway.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
And I'm about to send you the artwork next week. So.
Will that be November? That'll be December.
Yeah.
That's for December's book. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Sweet.
Yeah,
And Only Death Can Save Us will be available bi-monthly.
Bi-monthly from through Arrow and
Arrow
Liberty.
Comics.
Yeah.
Available through Liberty. There it is, right there, folks.
Can death
Looking
die?
good.
Yeah.
Da, da, da.
Yeah, I know that this. It's like every time I see that image, I'm like, no.
Well, seeing as there's going to be, there's absolutely no way of saying that death is actually able to die. It's dramatization. Of course, we know there's an epic battle going on, and of course there's a book 2 as well. So I kind of dropped any of that.
Yeah, I think the character. I think the character lasts for a little bit. Yeah.
So that's that. That's that done.
So it's like only death can save us, but can death save himself?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, you know it. Yeah.
But those are like the type of covers that it's like, I kind of miss. I kind of miss in the. Just in the modern times, because I really don't follow mainstream. But it's like Sal
Buscema is actually back in. He's drawing
Hero Union.
Hero Union.
Yeah.
And I saw some of the covers he done. And they're exactly like the old covers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's
They've
like
got
that gives you
straps
that,
on them, and brilliant.
that gives you
Absolutely
that
brilliant.
feeling that it's like,
Yeah.
oh, what's going to happen in the book? What's going to happen in the book?
Definitely.
Yeah.
For the second set of 3, I might even put a word bubble on the cover.
Oh no!
So
No, I don't like that.
Go for yours.
No.
You're gonna make people want to. You're gonna make people read the cover.
Wow,
What?
read the cover.
Yeah.
But seeing Sal's work again, that was just like, oh.
How old is he now? He must be about 85 or so.
Well, his brother died. John died when he was 80 something, didn't he?
Yeah.
And that
in
was
what, 2004 was that?
Yeah,
Around about?
like 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
he's got to be getting on. I mean, obviously, Joe Sinnott went last year as well, didn't he?
Was he 93 or something?
Yeah,
94?
he was getting on. Yeah.
Yeah.
So those guys. Wow.
But again, that art talent like that knows no age. As long as you keep your eyes and keep your keep your hands steady, you've got it. And these guys.
I mean, this is going to sound harsh, but die at your table, man. Die at your table.
That's the plan, at least for me. That's what
Gil
what I want to do.
Evergren died in bed with a canvas in front of him. Gil Evergren. He was one of the Varga contemporaries. Did a lot of pinup, old style pinups. But he had a canvas set up on his bed and everything, and he was in the middle of a painting when he passed. Wow. So that's go like that.
In Rumor has it that's how Alex Toth passed at his table while he was writing thank you notes.
I know John Buscema was buried with a pencil in his hand.
Yeah.
Was he?
Sweet.
It's fantastic, isn't it?
Bloody
I don't know what they're going to do with
men.
me. I just want cremating. I don't want to be buried anywhere.
That's true. Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, they can stick my body in a skip.
Right.
Yeah.
In a dumpster for our American cousins.
Oh, that's true. Yes. We're gonna have aluminium.
Just throw me a party, play my music, and give away all my comics. That's what you need to do.
Yeah. I mean, once you're gone, you're gone.
Yep.
I like I say, I've got some personal opinions about the fabric of existence, but you've only got one shot at this life, no matter what happens.
Yeah, really.
Making this plane. Yep.
So might as well make comics.
I said to Helen, there must be about 20,000 of my cartoons and drawings and stuff in my archive, so I don't know what she's going to do with it all. So if you can sell it, I'll sell it all for £1 and you'll be all right.
There you go.
I don't mean the whole thing for £1. I mean £1.
Well, right, yeah.
Let's get this in proportion.
If you're going to sell it all for £1, you might as well put it in your skip.
I know Brexit did some weird things to your money, but damn.
And the awesome thing about this industry is that there's really the age limits are imposed, and they're not there.
Yeah.
How old was Kirby when he created the Fantastic Four, Glenn?
44?
43.
43. How old was he when he did New Gods?
53. 10 years later.
And Captain Victory?
81. Another 10 years later. 63.
So I'm in that time range. I'm happy about that. I'm in that range of ages, and I've come up with my stuff. I hit my first Doctor Who in 2015, so that was my first mainstream gig. So it's like there's no reason why you can't do it when you're older. Absolutely.
Right.
In fact, if I'd have known what I know now, I'd have probably gone and joined the police and got myself a really good
pension. Yeah.
Come out at the age of 50 and then gone for it.
I thought about joining the police a long time ago when I was about 22, but I was told that I wanted to do the forensics. And all that kind of stuff. But I was told that whatever you did, you had to walk the beat for 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And be a policeman. And I thought, I don't want to do that. I want to work in the photographic and forensic, but I couldn't do that. So I thought, nah.
Well, I'm
glad I didn't.
Yeah, we have a skill center up here in this area that teaches kids in later high school, the ones that at the time really didn't want to go on to college. And my daughter took a forensics course through there. So I actually got to be a chaperone on a couple of their field trips. So, got to go out into the weapon range and got to stand there and watch a couple of autopsies being done.
Oh,
firsthand.
no.
But we
Body
were in
farms?
a,
no.
You went
We
to
were
a
in a-
body farm?
yeah, we were in an observation deck.
But did you watch it? Did you
Oh,
see
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
You looked at it?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
and
sorry
they-
about that.
Not
They-
everything's for everybody.
Oh, you said you wanted to be in forensics, so
Oh yeah, I realize. I
Yeah.
understand. Yeah, but
I'll never forget the doctor's name was Dr. Ortega, because we have a brand of Mexican food,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
and he knew how to
Awesome.
handle. He handled this phenomenally long, incredibly sharp knife, because every organ that they removed, they had to take a small selection, just an incredibly small slice.
Yeah.
And they pulled everybody into a room, which was really smart of them. Well, obviously they've done it before, and they said, you're going to be up in an observation deck, and what you're going to see is going to completely change your life. And these are it was like a central place where they did all of the autopsies in the surrounding counties, and one of them was ours. We had it's a bit south, and they did have a kid from Flint that they were going to be doing an autopsy on today, and they asked everybody if they knew him, if they went to that school or whatever, and that if they did, they were to stand down and not watch.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be
Because that would more than,
too real.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting, because they showed the different types of autopsies that they do, the Y front cut, and they went into the skull and pulled the brain out and weighed it, and the whole thing.
That's anatomical lessons the hard way.
Yeah. And they said you're up in an observation tower for a reason, because you were going to be removed from it, and it's going to look like a movie to you. But if you were down there on the floor next to the body, half of you would drop from the smell alone, is what they said. It was a very unforgettable time. And they were right when they said, what you're going to see today is going to completely change your life.
Yeah.
And it's unforgettable, very much so.
I saw nothing to do with autopsy, but I saw when I was in Dallas, I saw a young guy who'd been shot in a drugs thing. I was with the police. I was going around with the police in Dallas, and this guy was he'd just been shot, and he was still twitching. He'd just been shot about 2 or 3 minutes earlier, and we were around the corner. We zoomed round, and
unforgettable.
It was just a kid. He was about 19.
Yeah.
And he'd been shot doing this drugs thing. That's what they said at the time. I don't know whether that was what panned out, because I wasn't there after that. But they said that's what they thought it was a drugs related thing. And this was about 3 o'clock in the morning. And why would you be out there and all that kind of thing? And it was awful. And he was just lying there. It was just, and it's like you'll know. It's like when you see I've seen other dead bodies, and this will sound strange, but you'll understand what I mean. There's nobody there. There's nobody in. There's nobody in it. It's dead. They've gone.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this kid was just sort of crumpled on the ground, lying down, and blood was coming out and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just I can't imagine what it must have been like on Normandy Beach or something like that.
Yeah,
I don't want to know about that, but what it was like, I wouldn't want to go through that.
Absolutely.
Like I said earlier, I wrote that book about my dad's day on D-Day as paratrooper, and all that kind of thing. And he would never. He told me a few things about it, but he would never get into specifics about it. And these veterans never seem to do that. With good reason, I would imagine, because it's too hurtful for them, isn't it? Never mind anybody else listening, because they would be reliving it.
Yeah.
So anyway,
a lot of them were people they knew.
And for the audience, that's the actual definition of the word "triggered." By the way, so stop using it wrong. Thank you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. Hey, on to more fun things.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, actually, so going back to how old everybody was when they started making their work. And I think that, it's like ageism is a huge problem, I think, in most industries, because they think that the younger, the better. Mm-hmm. When I think that, especially for what we do, we really only hit our prime when we're much older. Like I'm and I'm making my best work now.
Yeah.
I remember being no. Yeah.
This past couple of years, I don't think I've done as much work as I've done this, in my entire career as I've done these past couple of years.
Yeah.
One of the reasons is with COVID.
Yeah.
And I really think, I was thinking about this the other day. I don't think I'd be talking to you guys now if it wasn't for COVID. Because I've sort of pursued this little great outlet that we've got.
Yeah.
But I've never been so busy. I've published a few books and I've got more in the pipeline. I've been writing I think I'm working on another 4 at the same time. And it's partly because of this. Yeah. So, every cloud, I mean, I know it will have really, really damaged some people, but that's unfortunate. But,
I mean, we don't want to belittle
the opportunities where they are.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want to belittle what happened this past year and a half, but I have to tell you, I've been living my best life this past year and a half.
Yeah.
As weird as that sounds. I mean, it's like, I've never been this busy. I've never loved being this busy before.
Yep.
I mean, there's just 30 years in a pandemic, man. I don't know. That's what it took, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I don't know whether you know, but my wife Helen is a ceramics artist. She makes these fantastic pieces of artwork out of clay and stuff, and she teaches as well. And part of her week has been cut back because nobody's allowed to go to the pottery that she runs.
Sure.
But she's taken the time to make the most incredible stuff. And I mean, I'm biased, but it really is. I'm not talking about little ashtrays. I'm talking about things half the size of a car. She makes these big things. They're really good.
Wow.
And we're setting up an exhibition soon. So, and that's come about because she's had the time to do her own work the way she wants it, rather than just be teaching somebody else how to do it, which is one of the reasons I did teach for probably about 2 weeks, and I thought, this isn't for me, and I went back into advertising and marketing and all that kind of stuff, because I thought, I really don't want to tell 10 people how to do something. I want to do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't, not that I don't care about people, but I want to do it. I don't want to show you how to do it. I want to do it. So, but she's made some fantastic work. And like I say, we're heading for an exhibition, but with COVID, it keeps getting put back because of the restrictions and all that. But she's got some fantastic work, and that's because of COVID.
Yeah. Let's hope that straightens out so everybody can see them. So, absolutely. I've taught cartooning after school for quite a few years, and it really gave me an appreciation for teachers that have to sit there for 7-8 hours. And run through different students, because that was just doing it 1 or 2 hours on a night was enough for me.
Yeah, well,
I would come home totally drained.
I was teaching kids from Borstal. Borstal is I don't know what the equivalent of Borstal would be. Young offenders.
Like juvie?
Yeah. So
we call that public school here. No, just
although ironically, the architects, schools and prisons are actually designed by the same architects.
Yeah.
So, right. Okay. Well, I had to go in and teach these kids art, and if anybody on the planet Earth who ever walked around in the last million years didn't want to do anything, it was these kids. Never mind the art. And I thought, I can't be doing this for the rest of my life. I mean, this is crazy. So some really tough kids in there, let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, my work was after school, and sometimes the schools were a little rough, but that you'd get that student, that 1 or 2 students every class where you saw the light go off and the puzzle fall into place, and suddenly they're bringing drawings of all sorts of crazy things up to you. That's pretty rewarding, and
I didn't wait
absolutely
that long.
Cool.
I just got out.
Had a small collection of thank you notes that I keep above my head anytime that I get depressed, and
Well, I was lucky. I was lucky because the place I was working was closing down, literally closing down. Which doesn't sound too good, me working there, does it? It was closing down. Yeah. But anyway, I applied for all these jobs, and I got I went for a few interviews, and I got the teaching job. And I thought, wow, I've not done this one. This is something else to the bow, the string to the bow. Yeah. And I thought, oh, this is going to be great. And then I got there, and like I say, these kids were a bit unruly. Let's put it that way. And I got a call from a guy who I'd forgotten about, because it was a few weeks since I've been to the interview, offering me this job, and I said, when do I start? So I was only at this place 2 weeks. I went in, and after the first week I handed in my notice, for a week's notice. So
not gonna make it. Yeah,
no,
definitely not for everybody, and it takes an incredibly a huge amount of patience and tenacity, I think, in order to fulfill that job. It's
it's a very important job. I admire people who do it.
It is.
Same with that forensic thing, I don't think I'd have been there too long if I'd have been watching autopsies and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's what I wanted to do.
I hear you.
but now I do all this and still trying, you know. So there we go.
And that pregnant pause was brought to you by the June 27th, 2021 edition of Sunday Funnies, folks. Thanks for listening in. Russ,
Yeah.
what was your favorite funny book growing up?
When you talk about funny books, when you say funny books, do you just mean comics, or do you mean the funny ones rather than the Spider-Man ones?
See, that's a good question, because originally the reason they were called funny books is that they were made up of the funnies. Newspaper strips thrown together into a bounded book in order to help the news presses keep their presses wet. Stuck out for a dime on the newsstand.
I was always drawn to science fiction and fantasy. So I was more Marvel and DC and that kind of stuff. Even really young, I would pick that kind of stuff out. However, that said, I got an awful lot of Buster and Whizzer and Chips and the odd dandy from people who didn't understand that I didn't like those kind of comics. and actually,
here in the States, you've suddenly started talking a foreign language.
Yeah, oh, right, yeah, exactly. Those comics were kind of very typical of. They were kind of Buster and Whizzer and Chips were like
Archie comics, dandy.
But
they're kind of like
we all know what
Dennis
Chips
the Menace type.
Chips. Dennis the Menace. They're more sort of. They're very English, to be honest.
Yeah.
They're very English, very British, should I say?
No, that's German. Catch and Jammers.
Okay.
Very British. It's almost like if you took Archie. Made everybody really ugly, and then got the writers of all the Carry On films to do the jokes. That's kind of like where we're going with this.
Yeah, there was a lot of variations of that theme in Europe, because Spain had something similar to that too. Yeah.
Well, it's very very European thing, I suppose. But I did get the funny ones. There was the occasional funny stuff in the newspaper, although I have to say, when I got to my early teens, AXA in the Sun was one of my favorites.
Wow.
That's not funny at all, is it?
No, it's not funny. No, but as a 14-year-old boy, it was a great strip.
Oh, I bet.
Strip being the operative word.
Exactly. Yes,
and definitely very European.
Yes, she had
the immortal words of Mel Brooks. Hello, boys.
Yeah.
She had a rather lovely line in
not much
savage underwear, let's call it that. I did like that, but for the most part it was superhero books. That's what I loved. And the first one I had that was my own money was Captain Britain, which had a whole bunch of reprints of Fantastic Four, Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then a whole bunch of other stuff. And I think it had some Doctor Strange and some Avengers and all that kind of stuff. There was Titans that I bought.
That was not 9p you were spending back
9p,
then, right?
yeah. And the Titans books were like a really weird landscape kind of size. They
almost
were great.
almost like a comic set on its side.
Yeah.
That had 2 black and white pages per page.
That's right. They were great. I love, but of course you got extra in them because they were half size in reality. So I used to love those. And the first book I ever got given that I drew out of that I can remember was a Stalker from DC, and I remember redrawing the character again and again and again and again.
Stalker, and then, that was a barbarian character in a green outfit, if I remember right. Wally Wood,
Wally Wood.
A lot of that material, or might have over top of Steve Ditko, if I'm not mistaken.
I've had a lot of people suggest that they see Steve Ditko in my work. I can't see it personally, but other people have mentioned it. So I am an amalgam. Yeah,
there we are. There she is. Yes,
she was gorgeous.
Oh yeah.
So I am definitely an amalgam of those people that I loved as a kid. And then of course there was the very British 2000 AD. That as I moved into my adolescence was just the perfect comic. So Look at her. She's gorgeous.
This was from Crikey number 9. I interviewed Romero, the artist in that.
Really?
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
That guy's a genius as well.
Yeah.
That explains Modesty Blaze on your cover.
Yeah, that's right.
Amazing strip. Yeah.
Fabulous.
Probably one of the best adventure strips of all time.
I read that the editors hired different artists or staff artists to make his women uglier.
Really?
Because he can't. He says it in there because he can't draw ugly women because he says every woman to him is beautiful.
Aww.
So he draws them like that and they're gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
But in one of the strips, I don't know the character's name, but there's an evil woman in it, and she looks even more beautiful than that. Which to me,
isn't that the trope?
Exactly.
Isn't that
Yeah, the bad guy has got to be the best looking one. They got other artists who ugly size them. Let's use an American term.
Joining us now is Mr. Varian Grant. Varian, how are you? How you doing, buddy?
I'm well. I heard ugly women, and
suddenly you're in.
Yeah, ugly.
There are no ugly women.
Yeah, I thought we were talking about I thought we were gonna start with your mama jokes, but now.
Sorry, buddy.
I'm fine this morning. I'm fine. How's everyone else?
Good.
Good eye sport.
Yeah,
I'm feeling well this morning, so I decided to pop in and stick my head in and cause trouble, or at least listen. I like hearing it from. I like hearing tales of people who lived it.
And to jump back over to AXA for just a quick second, Blackthorne over here in the States did do a series of reprints of that strip that were incredibly successful. So anybody out there who's interested in reading that book, if you scour your retailers' back issue boxes, that's AXA, you might actually find copies there. And the retailer will probably look at you happily when you bring them up to buy them, because they've been sitting around since the 80s and nobody knows what the strip's about or how good it is, and haven't bought them off of his out of his boxes yet. So definitely go on a if you get the chance, you have the time, hit your local retailer and go through his back issue boxes. You'd be surprised what you're going to find in there for backstock and things that the retailer probably doesn't even remember he bagged and boarded way back when. So,
well, if you look in Crikey number 10, that was our issue that's got AXA in it. It's got George and Lynn, a strip.
George and Lynn.
Yeah, and Connie, Carrie. And we've got Oh Wicked Wonder, all that fantastic stuff by Ron Embleton. Absolutely, I can't really show it, but
were those comic books or strips back then?
Strips.
They were strips, yeah.
Okay. Somebody should collect those and put them out. I'm sure they have, but they are good. They are good things.
Well, if they do, you don't hear about it often enough.
No,
you know?
Modesty Blaze strips are great, as you know. Weren't they going to make a film about that, or did they make a film about that?
Oh, they've had rights on and off for that being thrown around all over the place.
I think that the Tim Quinn, my editor, was editor on Modesty Blaze for a while.
Right. Wasn't Uma Thurman going to be Modesty Blaze at one point?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh. I know. Uma Thurman.
I don't know if that would have worked.
What a name.
That's probably why it wasn't made.
A lot of people thought Michael Keaton wasn't going to work either. So
he became the best Batman ever.
Can't really say.
I knew he would work right off the bat. And when I saw the movie Equilibrium, and I saw what's his face in it, I said that's Bruce Wayne right there. But that's Bruce Wayne as Aparo would draw him right there.
Yeah,
and he ended up with the Batman movies for a while. What was his? I can't
Bale.
remember. Yeah, Christian Bale.
Yeah.
Christian Bale.
Yeah, if you want to see early Batman, in a utopian setting, that Equilibrium. It's a real small B movie about a dystopian society and people who rebel against it.
If you want to learn gun kata.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, exactly. Really.
There are a few actors I feel that way about. I think that the guy who plays Jigsaw in the Punisher movies, Punisher TV show on Netflix,
Oh, okay.
I think he'd make a very good Bruce Wayne as well.
Yeah.
But I'm always scouting for superheroes. I'm always fan casting.
Are we fan casting? Yeah. Yep.
I don't know. By the way, this will upset Randy. By the way, this will totally upset him
Because we
Randy,
know how much Varian loves doing that.
Yeah. Speaking of fan casting, there is a push on Twitter to bring in for Namor, who everyone know. I don't know if you guys know this. Randy has a soft spot for Namor.
The submariner?
Yeah.
Yeah, submariner.
Oh yeah, that says it all, doesn't it? The submariner Namor.
There's a big push online for Adam Driver.
Who's Adam Driver?
He played Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren, yeah.
Kylo Ren.
Funny.
Oh, is that Adam Driver? Is it? Oh,
Yeah.
right. Okay.
That's
Sorry, I have no
No.
idea. Don't ask me an actor's name.
It's all right.
Right,
It's all right.
because as
I
far
don't-
as
I
I'm
don't
concerned, they're all
see it.
not worth
No,
knowing the
I don't
names
see
of.
it.
That's how memorable the last 3 Star Wars movies have been.
Well,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
for nothing. Kylo Ren was memorable. That was obviously the only character that they liked actually writing in that. in that
Unfortunately, he's
Yeah.
memorable as a spoiled brat kid,
Well, yeah.
prone to outbursts of temper.
Yeah.
Which is like,
I thought he was quite relatable.
Right. I
I found him,
yeah.
I found him irritating. Actually,
That was why he failed.
Yeah.
You know?
How
best-
was
best
But
character
Adam
they
Driver,
had.
No. Yeah.
But yeah, on Twitter, they're like,
But
He's
Twitter, look, Twitter is a bunch of horny, angry 13-year-olds. So don't take them seriously.
they're pushing it, man. They're pushing it.
They all moved from Tumblr, and then it's just it's
They're
become
pushing it hard.
nonsense.
how was Phoebe Waller-Bridge in the Star Wars film? She was the voice of a droid. Phoebe Waller-Bridge. I mean, do you not?
No idea.
Is that was that from Solo? That
I
might
don't
have
know.
been Solo.
She wrote Fleabag. Have you seen Fleabag, Russ?
Oh God, no, I haven't.
Oh, you should. It's one of the best things. She's also co-written the latest James Bond film that isn't out yet.
Yeah,
which
I
is
think
probably
that
gonna be
she
awful.
might have that might be from Solo though.
Right.
I'm not a
I don't
fan,
know.
to be honest. I don't.
Right.
Yeah.
That would probably be the female droid that was on Solo. Yeah. That was
Yeah.
hanging around with Lando. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
She's
I don't know.
Yeah.
Practically
That's-
nobody saw Solo. That's the
Yeah,
thing.
no,
Yeah.
no,
Okay.
it's no.
Well, she just signed a $16 million deal with Netflix, so somebody must
Well
like her.
Well done.
Yeah.
She's what? She's 34 or something. So
They paid Mark Millar $10 million. So smoke them
That's
while you
okay.
got them.
Whatever she does, it'll be canceled after the first season. So she's good.
She's not bothered. You don't care, does she? She can't wait.
Just enjoy it while it lasts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think she's great.
Still wouldn't.
I'll take 10 million I'll take 10 million.
Oh yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
same here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
They can have it. Hey,
10
what do
million
you need?
for a year's worth of work, sure.
Yeah.
I'll give them something at the end of it. I mean, that'll be
Something.
Something.
Yeah. You know what I do? If
Go on.
Netflix came to me and said, "Hey, we want something out of you," that sounds great. I'd probably do some type of weird documentary on indie comics. Take a year and a half just to cover that, like the depressing toll watching people spiral.
If only you had your own like Roku channel or something.
Yeah, really.
Yeah,
I was gonna say that,
yeah. I don't know.
Your
No,
own
yeah,
publishing
And then-
group and everything. Yeah.
yeah.
And then something on werewolves.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
that's
That's
yeah.
Yeah.
Fleet
Yeah, I would-
mongrels.
I would love to do a history of comics, just like what
Yeah.
Smith did for AMC, because it was so wrong.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
you mean
and it
Kirkman?
worked.
Huh? You mean Kirkman?
Did I say Smith? It
Yeah.
was Kirkman.
Yeah.
Kirkman.
Oh.
Whoever did that
Yeah.
history of comics thing on AMC, I'm sitting there shaking my head, going, "That's not the way that went." Did you bother to ask anybody, or are you just making this up as you go along?
Well, it depends on whose status quo he's trying to protect.
There's a narrative
No.
here, Randy. It's a narrative. We have to.
Yeah. Know what to kiss and when. That was the narrative.
Yeah, exactly. Remember, documentaries are not required by anything to be
Honest.
honest about anything.
I'm from Flint, home of Michael Moore. Yes, sir.
You know, I learned that the hard way while watching a documentary once, and I'm watching it, and this guy just straight up denied the existence of a disease that I know is real. Like, it doesn't exist. And I'm like, I remember looking at my wife like, what did he say? And I couldn't believe it. So that's when I learned that the documentaries have no requirement to actually give you factual information. There's no percentage. There's nothing.
That's also why I hate movies that say based on a true story, because what happens is that then people start taking it like a documentary when that's the last thing that it is. It's like it has The Rock in it. There's no factual anything in there.
True story, bro. Needs more dragons.
Right, we all know The Rock isn't real anyway.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Can you smell what The Rock is cooking?
The movie that really brought that home for me was Argo. It's like there's a whole based on a true story thing and blah, blah, blah. So I watched the movie, you know, I'm sitting like this the entire time. Are they going to make it? They're going to make it. And then I looked up the actual history of that. And like 99% of the movie's bullshit. It's all just dramatic effect. They said that, oh, no, it was actually, because the actual Canadians that this happened to, this is, oh, yeah, it wasn't really that big of a deal. They just got us on an airplane and we left.
Yeah,
I bet it was. When I read about it,
you know, but everything else that happened in the movie was just like they just made
Hollywood,
up.
Isn't it?
Yeah, that's just Hollywood.
Ben Affleck, isn't it?
Hollywood. And then it's like, and I was just like so disappointed that it's like.
See, not being biased or anything, but I think a better movie around that story would have been from Jack Kirby's point of view, doing that artwork that he didn't do the artwork for them to do that with, if you can follow that. But they'd make out in some things I've read that Kirby knew that he was doing it for the CIA or whatever he was doing it for, but he wasn't. He was commissioned to do the artwork for that book, wasn't he? And they used that as their cover or something like that. But that would have been a more interesting film than having another vehicle for Ben Affleck to be Ben Affleck.
But Kirby knew stuff. Kirby knew stuff. That's what I've heard, because he knew about the face on Mars. He knew it. He knew it all. He was one of the insiders.
Oh, he knew it before anybody, didn't he?
He worked the Kubrick to fake the moon landing.
Yeah, that's the one.
Joe Kubert helped with the moon landing. What? No,
Kubrick.
Oh, Stanley.
Is that a video game?
Oh, who knows?
Something like a video game,
Was it Lord of Light or something he did those drawings for?
Yeah, off of a science fiction novel.
Yeah.
And they turned it into whatever land that they were going to.
Yeah, that'd have been something, wouldn't it? That would have put Disney on its arse, wouldn't it? If that would have taken off. But there you go.
Well, it would have been very interesting to have seen Kirby live another 10 years.
Yeah.
To have him get a hint as to what his influence in popular culture it became.
Yeah, I think he knew what was going on.
Well, he had the idea, that it would blow up once technology caught up to his imagination.
That's right. Well, it hasn't done it yet. It's been dead for 30 years.
It's getting closer. It hasn't quite gotten there yet.
They still haven't caught up.
No,
they never will.
And you're right. I don't think they ever will. There's things you can do in comics that they just can't do in film, because it's the way that your mind, it's the way that the reader's eyes and mind interprets. And the great thing about comics is that it's verbatim. There is text, there are the visuals, but you're also visualizing what's going on in between the panels. And then on top of that, as we all know, if any of us who have idolized any kind of artist, you add stuff to their art.
Oh yeah.
To the point that like I've obviously idolized certain, look up to certain artists, and feel like I have to do things a certain way in my art in order to in any way come close to what they do. And then I actually have a good look at the artwork. And this is not to put them down in any way, but you have a good look at the artwork and you think, oh right, what I thought was in there isn't in there.
Right.
And what I didn't notice it was in there is in there. And so your imagination does huge things, even with the visual medium of comic books. And I just don't. And the thing about film is that it's passive.
Yeah.
It's not interactive in any way, shape, or form. So you're accepting everything. So when you go away from seeing like an MCU film, apart from the fact that you can never catch everything first time round, but effectively, for all intents and purposes, everybody's seeing the same thing.
Yeah.
But when you all read a comic book, even though the pictures are in front of you, you're all seeing something slightly different.
Right.
The
Yeah.
perception shifts,
I
and
think
that's why they're brilliant.
One of the greatest things about comics as well is the fact that everything's always in focus.
Mm.
Yeah.
The backgrounds, the mountains in the background, they're always in focus, but in the film they're not. And sorry, go ahead.
Which is why when you see some of the modern coloring techniques and modern techniques in comics, and I've done some of these myself, you kind of go, oh, that doesn't quite work.
No.
Right, because you're trying to emulate film on a
Yeah.
flat page, and that's not how it works.
That's not how it works.
What I found funny
how any of this
is-
works.
Yeah, what I found funny is that on like there's been a lot of interviews lately where I've been noticing a pattern, because it used to be that, people's like, oh yeah, I would love to have a Netflix series and this, that, and the other thing, right? It's like, although at this point I don't see why anybody would want that, but that's neither here nor there. But the thing is, though, what I keep hearing though is that people are saying, it's like, well, if I did something with my comic, I would need it to be animated, because there are just things that happen in this that I can't see happening in live action, or it would be too expensive in live action, even with CGI. So I just found that funny, how it's like before it was just like ultra realistic CGI was the place to be, I guess. But now I guess like people are like going, no, I really need it to be animated. Like now it's like they're coming closer to the source material, and
I would
to
never
realize
want,
if they want to keep their vision
I would never want the Death series to be a live action thing. It'd have to be a Saturday morning cartoon and no further.
And
I wouldn't want any CGI in it either. Or, the 3D stuff. I'd want flat artwork.
I think there's a lot of the charm being lost as well, because Randy, you're a fan of Thunderbirds, and I was, so am I, and I remember them first time around. I'm that old, and that's part of the charm of them is the strings on them and the way they
I'm not as young as you think I am, but go ahead.
I still think I'm older than you, but that's part of the charm of it.
Yes.
Now with CGI, everything's just so perfect, and even life isn't as perfect as CGI.
Right. Yeah.
And that was one of the things that Spielberg did when he was making Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
He looked at
Stan Winston.
Is it what's he called? The guy who does the stop motion.
Harryhausen.
Harryhausen. He looked at King Kong and all that sort of stuff, and that what he was doing with Jason and the Argonauts with the skeleton guys, which is still one of the best things I've ever seen.
Yes.
And he noticed why they looked so wrong, and it was because they were perfect all the time. And what he did with Jurassic Park, he devised a digital process where when those dinosaurs ran away, they would be blurred, not with a fine edge. Because when things move, they're not
move,
blurred, but they're moving and they look like they're blurred. And that was one of the greatest things he said came out of that film, because it moved CGI over, because it moved it up a notch, because things look more real.
Well, and the thing is too is that it's also like a lot, because a lot of Stan Winston animatronics on that, and it's like they said that the reason why the CGI works because it was blended with actual puppets,
practical effects,
with practical effects, right? And that movie to this day still like that it still works. Like it's like that when that T-Rex is coming out and that cup starts vibrating, you still get goosebumps. Like, because that even that the CGI still holds up, the puppetry still holds up. And there's just, and now it's like you get movies like Jurassic World where it's like everything is CGI'd to death, and you can kind of see it's like, oh yeah, it's all computer animated, and it doesn't have the same visceral.
The great
might
debate
as well be a cartoon.
Yeah, Chris Reeve, when he was doing Superman, I saw because I know he could fly. He could actually fly. Chris Reeve, he really could. But that's why he got the part. So I watched a documentary about it, and there was. Do you know? I think it's in the second film with Richard Pryor.
Oh,
third.
That's the third. I think it's the third one.
Right, the third one. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the sequence is Superman comes in and he punches Richard Pryor, and Richard Pryor goes 50 feet in the air back against this wall. Now they showed you them making it, and they fitted like a Dr. Octopus arm to his back that moved in, so he could just jump and be safe. And I thought, great, we're going to see how Superman flies. And then he goes, roll it, and they showed you this thing, and then they obviously blended out this arm thing, this big, mechanical, whatever it was, whatever you call it, that pulled him back. So I thought we're going to see how Chris Reeve flies now. So they showed this guy, and they're filming, and Chris Reeve comes in and hits him, and there's no strings. He flies, but you could see the thing on Richard Pryor's back. You see what I mean? I thought I knew he could fly. He can fly. He could fly. Just a shame he hurt his neck.
Oh, also another. I think this was also Stan Winston. So I guess like this week marked like I forgot what the anniversary is of the release of The Thing. So right, and
which one?
And the original
John Carpenter, or
the John Carpenter. Oh yeah, right, because it's a remake. There's two remakes. So, or it's a John Carpenter's a remake of an original version.
Yeah.
Of the 50s,
1952.
And then there's the new remake
from
that nobody
planet,
talks about. Yeah. And so John Carpenter's A Thing like premiered this week in 1982. And as raw as those effects are, they still work.
Yeah.
Like you could, and they did it. They tried doing a full CGI version, and people could have cared less about that movie.
Yeah.
But there's something about this movie that still gives me the cold sweats when I watch it. When the scene where they're tied to the chairs when he's doing the test,
and he puts his hand through the guy's chest.
Right, and that one where with the defibrillator. That's no, forget it. I'm always screaming every time. I know it's coming.
Yeah.
I know what I'm going to see.
You don't get that in modern
like,
films.
No.
You absolutely don't get that in CGI.
Those effects were all practical.
Yep.
And it still works to this day. So it's
the same with Alien.
Yeah, exactly.
The first Alien movie.
Mm-hmm.
The second Alien movie is awesome, but for completely different reasons. So the first movie, holy crap!
Yeah,
you still can't watch that without.
Yeah.
Part of what made the second film brilliant was that it was a departure.
Yes,
they didn't try and recreate the first one.
Yep,
they went completely different. And it worked in so many different ways.
And see the extended version. Those extended scenes add so much to the movie. Yeah, and the movie is hot already.
Same thing with His Abyss. Also, you have to sit and watch the extendeds on both of those in order to really enjoy that film.
It just goes to, I mean, watching those films and quite outside of the whole sort of strong female characters. To get away from all that kind of just the filmmaking itself, quite apart from the writing, the characterization, the focus on the quality of the film, and then you look at today's movies, pretty much all of them, even the good ones, and you realize why things aren't being why money isn't.
What's funny too? I kind of wonder too if a lot of that has to do with the fact that John Carpenter. Is it John Carpenter? Oh no, I'm confusing him with James Cameron. Never mind. But it's James Cameron who did Aliens. That he's an illustrator.
Yeah.
Maybe. Yeah.
So it's like he designed the Alien Queen. He designed a lot, and it's like, wait a minute. It's like, do you think maybe that has something to do with?
Well, Ridley Scott was an illustrator, and he did all his own storyboards for Blade Runner. Or a lot of the designs.
Mm-hmm.
And that again, like you said, that tells you something, doesn't it?
Yeah,
he's got that eye, he's got that imagination.
Well, not just that, but Scott was so involved in the art scene that he was able to pull like Geiger for Aliens in order to get that want that feel. And same thing with Sid Mead for Blade Runner. That's why if you look at Alien and you look at Blade Runner, two totally different feels, two totally different movies, same director.
Right.
Right.
And mind you, if you really want to go back a little bit, all of that goes back to Jodorowsky's Dune, when he made the giant storyboard book with Mobius in it, with and also a lot of people that got tapped for Alien. I just don't forget their names at the top of my head. But yeah, so it's like so everything stems from.
Well, and that again, that's from his association, quite frankly, with comics, especially international comics, knowing Mobius, knowing Geiger, knowing me, and all of those designers. They were all brought into Hollywood because Jodorowsky was pointing out, here's the visionaries that are out there. Here's the different types of things that film should be doing.
Yeah.
And they all of them kept the book.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for the book. Thanks for your ideas, but we're not going to make Dune. Holy crap!
No, but every movie is, but it birthed everything.
Every movie after that, it's a real awesome documentary. I mean,
Jodorowsky got Salvador Dali
to
want to be in the movie. Talk about random.
But there's so many films during that era that would not have been made if he hadn't taken that book around. Everything from RoboCop to Blade Runner, especially like 12 Monkeys and the not Sixth Sense, the Fifth Element.
Right.
Especially the Fifth Element. As that is all Mobius brilliant. Right there. All over.
It really is.
Superb stuff.
Just phenomenal.
What's funny though is that I read a story that Mobius actually sued because he says, "Oh, you stole all my ideas," and it turned out he forgot he worked on the movie.
Totally believable.
Yeah,
I think it tells you
good.
It tells you something about the audience, though, doesn't it? Because it's like everything in life; it's always multi-sided. And you look at Hollywood and the stuff they put out, and it's because the people watching it don't have the attention span, or the interest, or the imagination to follow what we would put out. You know, this panel here, what we would put out.
Really, the way people are fighting so hard nowadays to not use their imaginations, it's insane. I mean, it's literally people saying that it's like unless their entertainment comes completely from a billion-dollar media conglomerate, they don't want to know about it. It's like, no, I want my entertainment to be ground down into a gray paste. I barely need to digest, and that's the source of my entertainment. And then that's why they look at us and go, "What are you doing? What is this?" You know, it's like I'm dying. I'm looking forward to convention season to be able to talk to people like that again. It's like, I don't get it. I don't know this. Well, is this a Netflix show? It's like, I don't understand. Why do you want me to buy this? You know, I mean, it's like, what is wrong with you? What happened to your sense of joy and discovery?
might actually test your imagination. Go on,
right? Exactly. Yeah. Really.
I don't think they have imagination in the first place.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know. No, I think it's out there. It's just it needs to be pricked. It needs to be prompted.
Yes, it does.
Over here, prick means an entirely different thing.
I disagree with that. I don't. It's like this talent thing I always get. You know, a beamy bonnet about.
Close, yeah.
I think I don't think that everybody has talent.
Right. Yeah.
I really don't.
Well,
and you can't.
I don't think so either.
And when you practice, you get better, but you don't suddenly have talent, because otherwise, this panel here would all be Jack Kirby, wouldn't we?
Right.
How long has the people on this panel here been drawing? All their life, and we're still not Jack Kirby. And I said this to you before. I think certainly in other panels, I've been singing every day of my life, and I still don't sound like Marvin Gaye.
Right.
I've lived nearly twice as long as he did anyway. So
and I heard that through the grapevine.
Where was he practicing?
Yeah.
It's like, but that's the thing. Practice is like talent and practice. They kind of need to be together to create the magic. But just because you have talent doesn't mean you become Jack Kirby. It just means that you have an edge over the average person. You have a natural edge. But
I think there's
talent, you still need to practice in order to push that talent.
That's a very popular. There's this the word Marxist approach that everybody is exactly the same.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Because I've seen people practice their asses off and go nowhere.
That's the That's the
Yeah.
approach, and that's why there's a lot of people out there that would get very upset with this conversation.
Yeah.
Who would say that anyone can draw a comic, anyone can
not necessarily
play the piano, anyone can be a footballer. No, because we're all different. That's what makes us great.
Yeah.
That's what makes humanity brilliant. Is that I can't kick a football as good as somebody else. I can't play the piano. My wife is incredibly talented with.
I mean, Vonnegut did an entire book on the concept of how we're not equal.
Exactly, and I can't play musical instruments, but I can draw really well. And you're right. The only way to improve that is by practice. It doesn't just turn up. Okay, the finished item doesn't just turn up. You have to work really hard. But there are seeds in different people, which makes us all different. Which is why the human race is great, because we're all so different. Right. And just saying blatantly, everyone's exactly the same, and you all start from the same point.
No. That's the whole reason why we took the whole comics blast thing so goddamn personal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
because it's like, this was a program. I mean, this was people pretty much saying, "Oh, anybody could do this."
Yeah.
You know, you just need to press the magic button, and you could be. Then you can do comics. And
don't get me wrong. Everybody should be given the chance to do it. Everyone should have the same opportunities, and no matter what the quality, okay, if there's something in it, it should be celebrated.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that I'm ever going to be Jack Kirby.
Right.
Well, and again, it all ties back down to a third element in that formula. You can have the skill and the practice all you want. You can have the talent and the ability all you want. But if you don't have that passion in order to foster both of those, you're not going to be as great as a lot of the greats.
I know some super talented, lazy ass people, and it's painful.
Yes, it is. It's very painful.
You see, the thing is, with like Russ was saying about the footballers, the soccer players. I don't know whether you've heard of George Best. Have you heard of George Best?
Oh, I don't follow. So
George Best is arguably, Russell will know this. George Best was arguably one of the top 5 best ever soccer players in the past 100 years
of all time. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Up there with Pele, Johan Cruyff, and these people, Maradona. Right, you've probably heard of these. Now, behind George Best was a guy called Bill Fuchs, and he was what we call a centre back. He was a defender. Now, George Best never turned up for training, so he never because he was too busy out with the girls and boozing. So he'd go out on a bender for 4 days. He wouldn't go to training. He'd turn up, they'd play him, and he'd be the best player on the pitch. Bill Fuchs had been there all day, every day, and he was nowhere near as good as George Best. So practice does not make perfect.
No, it does not.
Practice makes better. And we all practice. Every time I pick up a pencil, that next line is a forward line. You understand what I'm saying? But so I get annoyed at people who think that everybody's talented, and they're not. No. They are not. Otherwise, we would do things. Like I said, I've been singing every day, and I still don't sound like Stevie Wonder or Pavarotti or whoever's good.
I do believe that everyone is talented at something.
Yeah.
It's just we're not all talented at the same thing.
I think pure talent lies in the creative arts. That's talent. You can't be. You don't have a. If you're good at doing accounts and adding up and things like that, that is not talent. I don't think that is talent.
I totally disagree.
I disagree with that too. Because I think that, like I said, it's a talent for me is something that gives you, it's like a natural edge. Like I always remember this silly story that I remember reading about this guy who he was like the #1 like hog farmer supplier in the nation. And they were asking him about like how he gained his success in such an unusual job. And he goes, look, no kid grows up, saying I want to be the best seller of hog semen in the United States. That's just something I ended up being really good at.
That's what I'm saying. That is aptitude. That is aptitude. People who are good at maths and can add up, that is aptitude. It's not talent.
Well, they would have a talent for that field, though.
But then what would you say about somebody who is a savant, like I don't know, like Einstein?
Well, I think savant is
like me,
different.
Like you, yeah. Like somebody who was so good at math that they actually saw beyond the physical world. I mean, that
Well,
takes creativity. That takes insight.
No, that's aptitude. That's called being a genius. He was a genius, right?
Ah, right. Okay. So what I'm saying is there's little bits,
and
in
not everybody
everyone.
can be a genius either.
Not everybody's a genius.
No,
but
certainly not.
But I think everybody has something in them, however small.
Right.
It's just how that comes out. It's how it shows itself.
How the passion and the drive steers.
And then you're absolutely right, Daphne. Glenn said it as well. It's like if you don't put the hours in, it doesn't matter. Okay, there are geniuses like Best, like Jack Kirby, that just turn up and they're ever ready and that's it. They're brilliant. You don't. But the rest of us, okay, who are focused at taking whatever talents we might have and putting them in the areas that we love, we have to work at it in order to get it to a standard that where it's noticeable, where it stands out from. And
if you really want to do something, you want to watch us really grind our teeth over something, is the fact that we put in all these hours on our craft, honing it, improving it, trying to do everything we can, just dedicating ourselves to the work. And then it's like some hack comes in who thinks that I'm going to do a comic and thinks that they can be on the same level as us.
What did they say, Daphne?
I'm going to make a comic.
You guys. I almost imagine Daphne in one of those old 50s hats.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I should be wearing your hat, I should be wearing your hat saying, I'm going to make a comic.
I'm going to do a comic, mister.
Yeah. No, really. And it's like, and they want to be held to the same standard as we're at. And meanwhile, it's like, we're literally sweating blood and tears onto our work. Yeah. And they think just for showing up, they have the right to be with us.
And then
now people are going to hate this conversation. Yeah. Now people are going to hate this conversation.
I would like to say that, as my icon now says, I am a super talented kid, 1 in a million, and I now identify as Jack Kirby, aka JAQ-CURB. Jack Kirby.
Jack Kirby. My nephew.
Jack Kirby.
My nephew once said to me, how do you write a book? I said, well, you get an idea and you sit down for 3 months and you tear your hair out and headbutt the wall and hope it makes sense at the end of it. Yeah. And he's still not. He said because I've got a great title for a book.
Okay, great.
It's a great title.
Right. Okay.
I'm an ideas guy.
And you sit down and write 80,000 words, and then you've got a book, and hopefully it makes some kind of sense and people will enjoy it. But like they say, there's another one that really pisses me off when people say everybody's got a book in them. No, they haven't.
No, they don't.
No, they haven't.
No. Well, I will
not
agree
a publishable one, that's for sure.
I will agree with that. I would say it's a very general thing that everybody's got a little bit of talent. But to suggest that everybody's got a book in them is utter tripe. It's like that just doesn't work that way because there's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes into it, as you know, apart from just the title.
Right.
So yeah.
I have a great idea for a children's book.
Yeah.
And I'll split it through 50-50.
Yeah. For some people, it's an instruction manual. Yeah.
I see. Pops is saying no talents, just skills. I'm sorry, no.
Oh, I have been
because you can't gain skills in drawing.
We have been neglecting the chat today, unless
you can actually bring something to it.
You see, because this is the thing. Because it's like, so JD's been kind of complaining about some books that he bought recently, and some novels. And he was saying that it was just like the weirdest thing, like the past couple of novels that he's been reading. He says it's like, here are these books trying to be all fantastical and whatnot. And he says it's the highest reading. He says, like, you could tell that there's no passion in the narrative. Like they literally, like the authors just literally thought that they could just literally string a couple of words together and here's a story. And he's like going, that's not what this is. And we're talking about like, mainstream, from the big publishers type of people, I mean, people who you think would know better and would be edited in a certain way.
That's because people don't know the difference between an idea and a plot.
Right. Yeah. And it's like, yeah. So they think that as long as they just string these words together and get from point A to point B, which is kind of like what the writing was. The writing was all about going from point A to point B, and there was like no poetry in between.
Mm-hmm.
And lots of coffee shops.
Right. Yeah. Lots of coffee shops and people holding hands and smiling at each other, but that's about right.
Yeah,
I mean,
that works.
I think they would call that a YA novel.
Oh,
no,
or just
JD doesn't
slap
read
a Marvel
YA,
sticker up in the top
but you know
corner.
what? That attitude, it seems, has been floating up. Because here, because everyone loves my crudeness. They say that cream floats to the top. Well, so does shit. So, so that seems to be what's kind of going on.
That's the name of your book, Daphne.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the title of the book.
Floats to the top.
All you've got to do now is sit down and write 80,000 words, and we'll have a book.
My autobiography is like the cream rises to the top, but so does shit.
Yeah.
My life dealing with a bunch of idiots.
Right.
With no talent.
So you
No
have
talent.
like these. So it's like you have like these half-baked people who think that, again, just for showing up and that they could do the minimum, the bare minimum, that they should be just as lauded as us who are putting in the work, and still think, and we sit here and still think we're not good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's because people who aren't creative and talented think they are.
Yeah.
We don't think we are. We're struggling all the time. At least I am. And,
COVID Kev says my book has small words and big pictures.
Love books like that. Love
Fortunately,
them.
so do ours. Luckily, you're in the right place.
Yeah, the right books, mister.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a comic book artist. I like comic books.
Empyrean
I'm gonna
Vole
be a
says,
writer.
not sure I understand Daphne's point. Effort, grit matters, but style is the part that you are kind of born with. Stephen Crane wrote Red Badge of Courage over summer break, and he was 20 years old.
Well, that's that. I think it's like that's the kind of like the savant thing. The writers who put out the one great novel and then you never hear from them again.
Preminger?
Style. I mean, style is something that's developed. I mean, if we're talking about like just like style, like things that you recognize as like Kirby's style. He had to develop that. I mean, that's still required. It's like, I mean, I'm thinking you're meaning talent, and then it's like, yeah, there's the geniuses who write their magnum opus at 20, but then they have the rest of their lives.
Yeah. And Empyrean says Stephen Crane wasn't a one-hit wonder.
No, I think the point we're trying to make is that there are always going to be some people that just come out of the gate. The genius. And there's always going to be those people.
I was going to say Herman Melville wasn't a one-hit wonder either, but anymore you would, everybody would think that way.
Right.
But you don't. They will obviously craft like Kirby did, because if you look at early Kirby, it doesn't look like his later stuff. Okay, but so he created his style, but still at the same time he came out of the gate like really pretty good. And there's lots of writers that do that. You can find those examples. But the vast majority of people won't be like that. They'll need the grit and the determination that Vol was talking about to shape their talent into a finely honed tool in order to create their stories. And so it definitely is a unison between talent and hard work and putting the hours in, crafting, and then some of what Pops was saying. Yes, you need skills. But you need those skills on top of your talent. Yeah. But there are always going to be those people that just come straight out of the gate, and you're like, oh,
right.
I cannot go up against Jacques Gerbet.
Yeah, exactly.
And possibly win.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, it's. I tell people all the time, until you are burdened with glorious purpose, as I am, you. I mean, to be able to sit at the table every time and have to outdo myself, it's hard. It's hard work. It's hard work.
Yeah,
I'm glad I'm sitting up off the floor.
But that's the thing. But you see, that's the thing. That's a lot of things that people don't want to hear. They want to think that we're all on an equal level, playing field. They want to think that it's not hard work, that it's easy. You know, it's like it's the people who come up to us at conventions. It's like, oh, just do me a quick sketch. It's easy for you. It's like, no, it took
What, you want me to pay you for that?
40 years. Well, that too. It's like, oh yeah, you could pay me. That's even easier.
Joe from a desk of a small press publisher asked, so does that mean I can go back to calling myself a D-rated artist again?
No, don't do that.
No,
I'm finding that getting back to the mentality of being my own worst critic is learning more now.
It's like, look, I'm going to tell you something, Joe, and this goes for everybody, and I'm talking about myself too. We all think we suck. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, we really do. I mean, it's like, you know,
I'd never want to be in a club that would have me in it.
Right. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like, look, we all think we suck. And that's what keeps us grinding. Okay. It's the people who think, unless they're friggin' Frank Frazetta, who is the only person who can say legitimately he was the best at what he does. You saw paintings, you should see the paintings that he was doing at like 9. You know, that was a completely different animal.
Even then, Frazetta had to design his own corner.
Right,
to be the best of what he did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so the thing is too is like, now here's the thing. Just because that we think these thoughts about ourselves, there comes a point also where we cannot afford to believe them. It's like, yeah, we can joke and say, yeah, I think I suck, but you don't want to in the end believe that story about yourself, because then it's like you're not going to push forward.
There comes a point when it does start affecting your work.
Yeah, exactly. Because then it's like, that's
you
when
get it in your head. You're a
D
D-list artist. You might stay a D-list artist.
Right.
If you
so it's
get in your head that you're an artist that's yearning to get better.
Yeah.
You'll get better.
So be careful with the dialogue you tell yourself. It's like,
your internal dialogue,
I can joke. Yes. Yeah, I can joke and say, yeah, oh, I suck at what I do. But at the same time, it's like, I know I can do better, and I know I am better than that.
It's that cliche, isn't it? Aim for the stars and you might hit the roof.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Or you might die in space, but at least you're in space.
No, that's a different thing. But, you know, if you aim for the roof, you might hit the doorstep, you know. You know,
I mean, it's like, yeah, it's like, yeah. So be careful with that internal dialogue, because you don't want to end up sabotaging yourself, which is a whole different thing too, that we're always in the danger of doing to ourselves, is sabotaging ourselves.
I think Bruce Lee had an awesome quote. You see it pop up on Facebook every once in a while about how you don't even want to use self-deprecating humor for fear that some of that might actually end up sticking in the back of your mind.
Yeah, and it does. Yeah,
you know, it's funny. In my life and career, people have criticised my work. You know, they're not. I don't mind criticism from artists, but I just don't want criticism from people who just don't know what they're talking about. Basically,
yeah, exactly.
But they all want my artwork on their wall. They all want a piece. They always want a piece of it. They always want me to sign the book.
Right.
They always want me to.
Oh, your sucks. Can you give it to me?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you don't really want me to see it. It's crap. I'll take it off your hands, and it's on their living room wall, you know. You know what I mean? But I stand by what I said. That not everybody has talent, so I will.
No,
I will be hanged by that. But you know, that's the way I feel.
Not everybody has talent. Not everybody takes the time to learn the skill, and not everybody has the passion to hone that talent and skill into the next level.
It's a lot of combination of things. Yeah. It's the thing that also that people misinterpret about Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours theory, because even they all say, oh, you need 10,000 hours to master something. Well, if you read the rest of what he says about that you can have that 10,000 hours, but if it doesn't line up with opportunity, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
So it still has to that work has to still line up with everything else.
But you don't add up. But you don't have any control over that. You've only got control over what you do.
Yeah.
You know, like if like with the Beatles, when they were on in the cavern, somebody kept going into Brian Epstein's shop and asking for their record, and everybody in the cavern at the time thought the Beatles were from Germany, thought they were German, because they'd spent 3 years in Germany, and they were going into Brian Epstein's shop and asking for this song, this record, and he hadn't heard of it. And the guy, he got 16 orders one day or something. He said to the guy, "Who are these people?" And he said, "They're on in the cavern in half an hour," which was literally just walking down the street for him. So he went down and then signed them, and then that became that. So if Brian Epstein if he'd have been on his holidays for those 2 weeks, and nobody took those orders, that might not. But you don't have control over that.
Yeah,
It's like we said before. COVID has brought me here.
Yeah.
So
all of us
I don't have any control over that. I wish I did.
No.
But, if I
you've got to take your opportunities when they turn up. Glenn.
Exactly.
Right,
You have to.
I've said this before.
I've heard people talk about what is the best way to get into comics, and it's like there are so many different ways to get into all kinds of things like comics publishing, design, creative industries, and it's never the same for anyone ever. But what you have got to do is, and it is a combination. It's a combination of skill and talent, and you trying really hard, but also networking and luck. It all comes together, and you've got to take those opportunities.
We said before about the opportunities.
Everybody's favorite Marxist, Chairman Yao.
It's Chairman Yao. Yay. The black one's Meowsalini.
Oh, that's funny.
I said before that I've had the opportunity to go to a few places in the world, as you know, and some people really resent me for that, and I think, well, I took my opportunity. The opportunity. Those places have been there for a billion years, and they will be there for another billion years. So, and you're not. So, if you want to go somewhere so badly, you should work towards that. And they say, well, it costs money. I said, well, I haven't got any money. You save the money. Don't go out for a year and go to Australia for 6 months if that's what you want to do. There are sacrifices, but the opportunities are the same. And a lot of the time you can make the opportunity, but a lot of the time you have no control over it whatsoever. And if you think a million years ago, we'd have been running around.
Going to the vet will be interesting. So what are the cat's names?
Salini, is he solid black?
Yeah.
Well, he's got a little bit of ginger in him.
Okay, yeah. Sweet. Our cat's solid except for on his chest. He's got a little puff of white.
They're just tearing my house apart at the moment.
Well, that's
their job.
That's what they do. Yes, absolutely.
They have a talent for it.
That's an innate talent.
And they're practicing it, making it a skill.
1,000 hours
on the side of your couch. Absolutely. And just think of where we all would be if Stanley Lieber had told Uncle Martin to go screw himself. I'm going to go home and work on my great American novel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, we had Trigon Empire and stuff like that, so we'd have probably got there anyway. There'd have been no American.
I don't know. It would have been interesting to see,
of course,
because so much of fandom,
all
around the world revolves around Marvel and with DC and the outer reaches.
I consider myself really lucky because I was reading Trigon Empire and the Beano and all those things, and then Jack Kirby, Strange Tales landed there with Stan Lee and Steve Ditko was in it and doing Doctor Strange and all that, and I thought, wow, this, and I continue to read Trigon Empire and the Eagle and things like that. I got like a double whammy, I got the American side of it and I got the British side of it at the best time. I know every age says it was the best time, but they're wrong. This is the best time. Oh, that was, we live in the best time.
We live in the
music
best
and
time.
everything. The music and all that.
We live in our best time.
Yes.
Yeah.
With some very talented people.
We live in a time where we're less likely to die in squalor.
Get eaten by bears.
No matter what some people might have you believe, it's the best time. Yes,
but it's coming. So.
I just wanted to show. Hold on, let me grab something here.
About your cats, Cameron says, not yes. Mike Jimmy.
Yes.
Says, oh my God, they're adorable.
Yeah, at the moment.
So we were talking before about the comics we grew up on, and I actually still have some of the comics I literally grew up on. So these are, and just to show you how pervasive Disney is, because even back then. So these are the books. These are from Spain.
Wow.
And these are comic book adaptations of all the movies. that came out at the time.
Hang on. Put those back up on the camera.
So these are literally the books I grew up with. I mean, I think these are from. I had to tape this one back together. These are. Now the funny thing is that, so just to give you an idea, so this is the type of artwork that I grew up on. So really, classic style Disney. Type. And here, I think we can have a little bit of subversive fun here. Hold on. So this one's for the movies, and so this is from Peter Pan.
Wow.
So this is the stuff that I grew up on.
Hey,
right?
that stuff ain't in English.
Right. So, and this is also the other book that I showed on a previous show that I also grew up on. This is also from Spain. It's Mortadelo and Filemon. And this is also some of the see, every country has a version of these two kids right, that we were talking about before. So this is the type of artwork that I grew up on. Right. Yeah. So then come to the United States. I'm kind of like late in the mainstream comics game. So, probably around like, maybe I was like 11, 12. So remember, I grew up on this. This is the artwork that I was looking at. Yeah. And then I go to a Barnes and Noble. And then I see this.
Oh, yeah.
ElfQuest, yeah.
Then I see this.
Don't hurt that. That's a Star Blaze.
Yeah, I know, really. So you can only imagine how my mind blew open.
Yeah.
When I saw this. Although the ironic thing about it is that this probably has more in common with Europe, with European comics than than American comics.
Sadly, but very true. Yeah.
But so when I finally discovered this, it just completely opened my mind as to what comics could be as a possibility. And then I was like addicted ever since.
Well, this is the original comic.
Right.
I mean, look at it.
Yeah.
It's falling apart.
Oh. Yeah.
But this is the original one from 1965 that my brother brought home that set me off on Jack Kirby. And Kirby only did the layouts. John Severin did the artwork. But then I discovered this page in the same book, which was like, and I said to my brother, "Are these in the shop?" And they were. And he went and got these.
Wow. Yeah.
But this is, as you can see, it's falling apart. It's just
way comics should be.
Yeah. But that was my introduction to it. But before that, like I said, I was looking at the Trigon Empire with the Don Lawrence artwork. Yeah. Which is absolutely superb, and Ron Embleton. Mike Noble in TV21, those people. So, like I said, I got a real good double whammy because I've got the beautiful painted artwork of the British artists and the fantastic line work of Kirby and Ditko and Romita and Buscema and all these people, these wonderful, brilliant artists. These people with lots of talent, who and didn't happen overnight. I'd already been working for 25 years before all that stuff happened. So, which is what we were saying before. Yeah. They come out the gate, like Russ said, being mega talented, but then they carry on and do the 10,000 hours and work all night for 50 years, and they produce genius, brilliance, and fantastic stuff.
But that's also the reason why, that's the reason why a lot of them did create their best work in their 40s and 50s, if not older, because you need that, you need to percolate, you need to age like wine,
Well, when I got accepted at Marvel through the new talent scale in the mid 90s, I was effectively trying to be Jim Lee, and we all know that only Jim Lee can be Jim Lee. Exactly. But there's several artists that seem to emulate him quite well, but at the end of the day, why would you want people to mistake you for another artist? That's the last thing you want to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So but I can understand the process and why somebody might have a house style, and I don't agree with it, but I can understand it. Right. But I came full circle. I ended up doing different things when I came back in 2010. I'd started appreciating different art. I had my Kirby moment back in '95. Kirby was awful as far as I was concerned, blocky and rubbish. But I was ignorant I didn't have a clue what I was talking about, and it required maturity. So it required two types of maturity: an artistic appreciation and maturity, where I could see art, where I could see different artists, different abilities, creators, styles, all kinds of things that go into that conversation, and an internal conversation you have about art, but also a maturity of mind and body, just like understanding the way physics works, the way the world works, the way people work, but also understanding the way emotions work. And you don't get that without having some experience in life. And if you look at what those guys did, many of them had been to war. They'd done just the most amazing things with their lives, and then they brought out these stories. You need something. There's always going to be those savants, or there's always going to be those people that turn up that are brilliant. Okay. But even they will benefit from experience, because you can see their work grow over time. But I definitely benefited from being more mature in all kinds of different ways.
You need all the life experiences as well, because when Jack Kirby came back from the war, which must have been pretty bad, because he nearly lost his legs, and apart from being shot at every day for a year or whatever it was, he didn't do war comics until the mid-50s. He created the romance line. Now there's an opposite to war, so you can tell where his head was. And because Roz told me that when he first came back, he used to have nightmares. He'd be screaming in the middle of the night, about some situation he was in the war, that he was in his head, and he was doing all that other stuff. And then he calmed down a lot. He got to be sort of nearly 40 and all that kind of thing. And she said he calmed down a lot, and then he could open up, and he gave us all the war stories and the science fiction, and then even if you look at Kirby's sort of challenges and early 60s Marvel, it's still different from the 65 stuff that we love so much. He drew wiry people, didn't he, in Captain America in the 40s? Then they're like gods, they're like granite, weren't they? So even then, so in his mid 40s to nearly 50, his artwork changed such a lot, and he was always moving forward, wasn't he?
He's constantly evolving.
That's the important thing. Going back to what Joe was saying about, and also the whole thing about like, be careful with your inner dialogue. It's like, as long as you're putting in the work, you're going to be a different artist 5 years from now than what you are today.
Absolutely.
So it's like, it's like, look, it's like, I'm never going to be Arthur Adams. Okay. It's like, I'm never going to be Mike Mignola. I'm never going, it's like, I'm never going to be these artists, but I'm going to be the best version of me I can be. And and in the end, it's like, that's what you always have to consider. It's like, it's like, be a better, the goal is to be better at art tomorrow, be better at your craft tomorrow, today, tomorrow, the next day. As long as you're making those little incremental strides, in a year's time, in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, you're not going to recognize yourself. You're not going to recognize your artwork. And it's going to give you, but that's what it is too. It's all about the grind. And it's like, it's not sexy, it's not fun, it's hard work, makes you sweat, makes you cry, makes you wonder why you're doing all this for. But as long as you keep making those incremental pushes forward, in 5 years, you're going to know why. You're going to understand what it was all about. Even in a year from now, it's like the whole idea is just keep moving forward,
And Empyrean, that's not, it's not 10,000 hours, it's 1,000 crappy pages.
That too.
That doesn't hold true. Empyrean, it's 2,000 crappy pages that you spend 5 hours a piece on.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So guess what?
Yeah, Jack Kirby Evolution. Yeah, they'll do that one. Thanks, Marv.
That would be interesting, though.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's ever really done that, to sit down and just analyze the evolution of the art.
Whenever you have your low moments, go and look at the early art of the people that inspire you. And you can see where they came from, the errors they made, how naive they were early on. Even the greats. I mean, there's early stuff from Kirby and John Buscema, for instance, that is so much more naive than what they ended up being. And you can go look at that stuff and go, all right, Okay, fair enough.
Or even still go dig back up the artwork of the artists that you don't like. And sit there and take another look at them. Look at
and also the thing is too, like we were just talking about Guy Davis the other day, and it's like, and I know that Guy Davis, you said that Guy Davis hates his old artwork and doesn't want to talk about it and whatnot. But I was looking through the realm the other day, and as the kids say, that work still slaps, and it's like I
do the kids say that? Because that's like a 1920s.
Say that. Yeah, it's kind of funny how a lot of these words keep circulating, keep cycling like that. Around. Yeah. Yep. And the artwork still holds up. And it's like, and there's a lot of people who it's like, it's like I'm redoing some of my covers for the new trades. And I'm looking at artwork that I did like 10 years ago, 17 years ago. It's like there was a piece I picked up from like 2007, and I was actually surprised that it still worked. All I had to do was like re-ink it, and you would think I drew it yesterday. I mean, that's not saying that I didn't evolve. I'm just saying that there comes a point where the evolution is a lot slower, where the jumps are slower between everything clicking. So the artwork still works. It's just my inking style has now evolved to make the pencils work from back then, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. It does. I think your style will always come out in the end, whatever you do. Just give it a chance to evolve, and then it will be it. Like you say, I think there comes a point when you don't change too much.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think if you change too much, when you get to our age, you're sort of forcing it, and I think that's wrong. Because your own, it's like your signature, isn't it? Your signature is always the same. If you try and change it, we're too late for that. We practiced that when we're 14.
Yeah, exactly.
For when we're famous. I got criticised a few years ago about that because I'm also writing my autobiography. Now, get this: I'm not yet 25 in it, and it's 90,000 words.
Damn.
Right, and I'm not 25 in the book. I'm obviously a bit more than 25 now. And somebody said to me years ago, "How big-headed is that? Writing your autobiography when you're not famous." I said, but when I am famous, it'll be ready.
Yeah, there you go.
So when the Panther books want it, they'll get it tomorrow.
It's like So it's like so there you go. So when we finally become famous, we'll be ready.
That's right. Yeah.
Empyrean points out, I'm telling you, check out McFarlane's book, his high school juvenile work. His style is all there already, but his drawing is crude. Empyrean, if you go back and look at the stuff he did for DC, it's completely different. His Infinity Incorporated work, there's just barely little small hints here and there of what he ends up becoming.
But I think that's all of us anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
sorry, go on.
No. Yeah, that's like that. The style begins to peak out, but unless you're deliberately basing your style on someone else's stuff, like a house style, like a Marvel house style or a Disney house style, unless you're deliberately forcing yourself to do that, your own style is going to pop out.
Yeah. It will do.
Well, look at Conan #1 compared to Conan number 25.
I was just going to say Barry Windsor Smith. There's a perfect example.
Or look at the early Marvel work that Keith Giffen did that I loved because he was emanating Kirby. But the problem was that somebody up there at the office told him he needed to draw more like Jack Kirby.
No, that's the Stan Lee story, isn't it?
Yeah, until somebody up at the office asked him why he keeps drawing so much like Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
You need to draw like himself.
There you go. Have a look at this.
Remember, be the best version of yourself.
So you can do it. You can apply yourself to all different kinds of style.
Yeah.
Okay. But this stuff was far harder for me to work my way into it because it wasn't my natural style.
Yeah.
But it was the same with the Ben 10 stuff as well. But once
Digimon.
That's Digimon. Yeah, I did a Digimon tryout. Unfortunately, the magazine didn't get published. But so you can apply yourself to different things. You can apply yourself to different styles. But in order for you to grow, you need to let your own style come out.
Yeah.
You need to let your own thing, you know.
Yeah, I did the same thing when I was doing Postman Pat. I was just trying to find a piece of it there. And when I did Postman Pat, you know, as a cartoon character, and I told you before about we got, I was given a Bible. It was like that. And it was all to do with his nose could only be so long and the cat could never come above his knee and all this. And it was a nightmare, but it was a wonderful nightmare, if you know what I mean, because I had to discipline myself to do this work. And I got into it. And it was great. Not my work. I'm saying it was great to work on it because I had to do something else other than just say I don't want to do it and don't get paid. And I did a run of them. I didn't do it, you know, for years. I think I did about 10 issues of it, which was all I was contracted to do. But it was fun. It's a fantastic thing to put yourself to the side of what you do a lot of the time because you learn. And you get things from it, and even if you only learn, you don't like to do it or you don't want to do it, you've learned something. I think you learn something from everything, and if you can push yourself forward, because if you want to draw superheroes, I mean, all these things are like cliches now, but they're true. If you want to draw superheroes, don't draw superheroes, draw real life. Draw people and then just put the costume on them or whatever. Because if you copy Jack Kirby and all these people, these wonderful artists, if you look at their other work they do, they know all about anatomy and poses and hands and eyes and the way they work. And that's what I think a lot of people don't appreciate. That they just want to draw Batman.
Right.
Sorry,
they don't appreciate the foundational work, you know, the boring stuff.
Yeah,
found that it's not just anatomy either. It's
everything.
It's cars,
drama. But also it's not just the library of things you have to draw. It's storytelling. You know, sequential work is far more about the telling of the story than people give it credit for. They just think, oh, I can draw Batman in a different position. That'll work.
Well, that was what Stan Lee meant by draw like Kirby.
Yeah.
Not draw square fingers, but draw the sequential, like the silent movie thing.
Learn the dynamics, learn the positioning, tell
the story. That's the important thing.
So just like you, Glenn, I was doing Ben 10. I got one on the screen now. I was doing Ben 10, and it's all rubber hose. You know, limbs and all the rest of it. But you needed to understand anatomy and positioning and weight in order for it to make sense to flow.
Yeah,
you know, all these things. It was a great thing to do. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, but you wouldn't want to do it all the time.
But I wouldn't want to do it all the time. No. It wasn't something that it was a paid gig. It worked, and I really enjoyed it. But you know, and I would have done the Pokemon stuff as well. I could, you know, if somebody says, okay, here's a manga style, draw this, you know, manga, anime, whatever it is, I can do it.
Yeah,
I can do whatever you ask me to do. It doesn't mean that I'd enjoy it, and it doesn't mean that I'd grow from it.
Right.
When I was doing the Postman Pat stuff, I also did some character. You probably heard of this, Russ, Charlie Chalk, and My Little Pony. My Little Pony, I had to give back. I just couldn't do it. It's the most difficult thing. I couldn't do it.
It's very deceptive.
Yeah, I think I did one issue. I did one 3-page story, and I thought, no, I just can't do this.
Yeah.
And Postman Pat was hard enough, but this was just a killer for me.
I mean, it's kind of like when manga really hit the scene and people are thinking, oh, this style's easy. And then people would actually try to do it. Yeah, and it was just like, no, it's not. It's an entire different visual language, you know, and it's like, no, it's not just the big eyes and, you know.
Yeah.
And
comes an entirely different branch off of evolution as far as sequential art goes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Very much so. Hey, I just want to mention Courtney here pops in late with a statement we could have probably spent an hour on. I think that art advances as we do as a culture. A lot of older art doesn't appeal to me and those my age in the community outside of being used for poster or throwback. Throwback shirt.
Yeah.
Right. I think there's something to unpick in that statement.
Like I said, we could spend an hour on that.
When you talk about community, are you just talking about creators, and are you talking about young creators and what they like, or are you talking about the general public and audiences?
Right.
Yeah.
Because quality work, no matter what the style, quality work will find an audience.
Yeah. Right.
And
not only that,
absolutely.
but the work that you're thinking that it's like, oh, what is this crap? You know, 20 years from now, you're going to understand what that crap is.
Yeah.
Just like with us, you know?
Yeah.
That's not to put down. That's not to put down
Right.
at all what you're saying.
Right,
Courtney,
No,
or,
not at
or
all.
you,
Right.
or your
We
likes, or
completely
your
get
friends
it.
like.
We completely
Totally get it. But
Yeah.
just it's a case of, you know, what environment are you talking
Right.
about that?
I mean,
Exactly.
yeah,
And how
'cause-
focused are you talking about that?
Because just for me, I mean, it's like, because back in the day, look, I was trying to emulate Todd McFarlane like the best of them. Now I'm like, I look back at that artwork and going, what was I thinking?
Do you have
And
any?
mind you, I was looking at, do I have, well, all you have
Like,
to
do you
do
have
is,
any of that?
well, just look at the first 4 issues of Tall Tales. All that doohickey line work that Will Eisner kept screaming at me for doing.
Doohickey.
Yeah, he said,
Doohickey.
that's what he would call it. He said, all this doohickey, line art that doesn't mean anything, you know? And, it's like, I'm sure you probably thought I was drawing Spider-Man or something.
That's a good name for a book, though, doohickey.
You're right. So it's like, so it's like, but now it's like I look at Todd McFarlane's work and I'm like going, I kind of understand why it had an appeal, but it doesn't do anything for me now. So that reversed for me. So when back then, like Kirby's work and John Byrne's work, I'm like going, oh, what is this crap? And then now I'm like going, oh, I get it. So the artwork's always switching back.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
An advantage that the greats had, Kirby, Buscema, Romita, Ditko, those guys. I think this is key to their work as well, because the comics and stuff weren't around like they are now, or the exposure. So they were sitting in their basements drawing and not being influenced by the other guy.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Whereas we saw Kirby and we thought, oh great, I'll draw a machine like a Crackle, and we saw Ditko with those lovely, balletic poses and all this. We tried to do that, but Kirby didn't see Steve Ditko's work. He was too busy doing his own.
Yeah.
So they didn't have that influence.
That piece I was just showing there was back from '95 when I was kind of following Jim Lee and all those styles at the time, and that doesn't look like what I draw now.
Right.
All.
Yeah.
It's
like
we
can see that there's something. But what's funny, even with the Ben 10 stuff, it's like if you didn't tell me you did that, I wouldn't have recognized it.
No, but that's why it was done like that. It was made that way intentional to fit the Ben 10 style.
Meanwhile, it's like I was looking at J.D. Rosario's, The Shield of the Interceptor, and for a split second, I didn't know it was your work, but I was like, "Wait, damn, this looks like Russ's work." Especially when the monsters came out, and I go, "Oh, this has to be Russ's work." And then I looked in the credits, like, "Oh snap, it's Russ."
Yeah, the first 2 issues were me. Yeah. I think it's got a guy called Ferreras.
The monsters gave it away. The monsters gave it away. Yeah.
I noticed, Russ, on that artwork that the R was the other way around as well.
Yeah,
you've changed your logo.
Yeah, exactly.
Doohickey artwork and with whatchamacallit technique.
Yeah,
maybe I should
Will
do a
Eisner
book.
hated
so
that
in
stuff.
So in 25 years, Russ.
Yeah.
In 25 years, Russ, quarter of a century, all you've done is change your R.
Yeah, that's all I've done. Yeah,
that's a joke, that, Russ.
Yeah, thanks.
You said Eisner hated Ditko?
No. That Eisner hated the doohickey lines.
Oh, okay.
Fight.
Yeah, I know, right?
But here's a guy that was kicking out 7 pages a freaking week of pure genius.
Right.
Back during his heyday, as soon as he got back from the war, boom, 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 just constant, unbelievable stuff.
Yeah. So it's like,
from the ground up too, not just here's a script, I think I'll draw it. No, everything from
and mind you, when he told me that, when he told me that, it went in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
Like I just didn't have an appreciation. That was just school in general, but it's like I just didn't have an appreciation for the environment that I was in.
What does
and
your
I
teacher
only
know?
realized, it's like, exactly. It's like, who is this guy? And only now I'm like going, shit.
I just had a thought. I wonder if, in particular, Jack Kirby. I wonder if it'd be interesting to know how many pages and stuff like that he was doing before he went to war. I wonder if he was buried himself to get away from all that from his mind and just drew and became faster and quicker and all that.
Was his escapism.
Could be refuge. Yeah. You also, also have to keep in mind that they changed page sizes for original artwork back right about that period.
Right.
They went from 2 up down to 1.5 up.
Right.
That's why if you look at the Boy Commandos, Newsboy Legion stuff, he's working in 4 tiers. And then once that page size shrinks down, and of course, in order to get faster, you see a big difference from his Marvel work to his DC work when he's working on New Gods and Forever People. You see a little bit more broadening, a little bit more opening, but so much more imagination just flowing off onto the page, in my opinion, because he's got that much freedom. And he's sitting there just literally like a kid in a schoolyard, sitting there playing, because he's had all of that experience. And now he's had added passion that he can sit there and do what he wants to do. And boom, here you get New Gods with all of the splendor and big double page, just craziness that he brings over. Sure, there's a lot of that in Thor, but he brings it over there and just makes it explode in New Gods.
And his first line was all he needed. He didn't need to do 5 lines to get the right one. He would just put the first line down and it would be the right one.
Yep.
And that's why he's a genius.
That's the genius of it.
It is.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm like, right now, I'm like, oh, this looks wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong.
Yeah.
This does not look right.
See, but
Second,
you have
third
to keep in mind
everything,
also that Kirby was on a tight schedule. He didn't have the chance to think, was that a right line or was that a wrong line? It was a line. There's a line. Now on to the next one.
Yeah. There is an element of that,
in Jack Kirby's world, there's no such thing or word as eraser.
Yeah.
He just gets it down.
Yep.
Or as my former partner asked somebody in California, she asked, I can't tell you.
Oh, no.
Okay.
I'll tell you off air.
Okay.
And on that note, Russ, tell folks where they can find you.
I just got this last piece up. You can have a look at this. This is for Only Death Can Save Us. This will be in the Arrow comic.
Wow.
Holy crap.
It's being colored at present. So there's extra stuff going on. I really can't wait to see the stuff that's going to be in the second book and the second 3 issues of Arrow. So that's what's going on there. So we'll stop there.
Wow.
You can find me as Comic Book Black Belt over on YouTube. I have lots of videos there of my process and how I produce things. I'm up on a Monday night doing a live show, so for an hour you can see what I'm doing at that moment in time, whether it's inking, digital pencils, traditional inking,
making us all look bad,
colors, all kinds of stuff. And you can see
don't let that keep you drawn for another year and a half.
You can see me drinking Jack Daniels at the same time, and slowly becoming less and less compos mentis. In fact, last week I'll let you into a trade secret that after I'd finished the Jack Daniels and I'd finished my stream, I thought it'd be a good idea to try and trying to fill an ink brush pen, which was not a good idea because I got ink everywhere. That was like a really bad thing to do, and I was clearing up for an hour.
Don't drink ink.
Don't drink and ink.
Right, don't drink and ink.
Put that sign right up above your board.
Right.
So you can see me on Comic Book Black Belt on YouTube. You can find me as russleach.com at comicbookblackbelt.com. Sign up to my email list. There's something special for those people on my email list, or for those people who have backed the first book in the second campaign. I've got something very special to give away, and you're only going to get that if you're on the email list or if you've backed me. You can also find me on Instagram, on the Twitter, on the Fleece Book. Come find me. I'll talk to you about all kinds of things comic related, and but I won't talk to you about anything that's drama related. I don't want to know, unless of course you start talking to me about Matt Hancock, and then what? It's like the gloves are off.
2 hours it's taken. I've been waiting for it all this time.
Wiener hand. And so, you can also find me on Fulton Land on a Thursday afternoon, probably after I've been hanging out with these reprobates, and on Fulton Land, where we talk about comics and stuff. We have some great guests, so you can find me there.
And don't forget, only 1 week left to get this book.
It's
on
in demand.
Indiegogo on demand.
It's in demand until Friday, where you can get the premium version of the book, and then after that, you can get it from Arrow in August.
Pick it up from us. Yep, from Liberty.
Pick up both copies. If you want to be a completionist, you're going to need it.
Right. Because the
That's
Arrow
an awesome book.
all extra
Going to
stuff
press.
too. There's going to have extra stuff that's not in the trade.
Not in the
It's
first
going to have
trade,
extra stuff that's not in the first trade, but you will get it in the second trade. And there, I have actually some exclusives for everybody in the second book. And like I say, I've got some special stuff to give away, pin-ups and bits and pieces.
Sweet.
And I want to, Rust, when you sign off, don't go. When we sign off, don't go anywhere. I got to tell you a funny story.
Okay.
I repeated something from history, and it was related to you. So I want you to hear about it before you go.
All right, then I will stay for the story.
Mhm.
Glenn, tell folks how they can find you.
You can get my books on Amazon, and I'm on Facebook, or you can email me at comicsunlimitedmagazine@gmail.com, and watch out for my new website, which is gbfmedia.co. But that's not up yet, but it will be in the next week or so, hopefully.
Sweet.
So I'll make it short like that.
Okay. Are you sure you're done?
No, I'm done. Yeah, I'm done.
It, right?
Done?
Yeah.
Just for now.
Just for now.
Okay. When's the next book?
My next book.
Yeah.
My next book.
Do I owe you
I don't know.
Do I owe you a column for that?
I don't understand what you're saying.
No, do I owe you
Unlimited.
your next Comics Unlimited?
Oh, sorry. Mid-July.
No problem. Mid-July.
Sorry.
Okay.
When you said book, I thought you meant prose book.
Oh,
Right,
publication, whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
you got to remember, with Glenn, you got to be specific.
Yeah.
Sorry, Glenn.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like-
Mid-July.
Okay.
Issue 7.
All right. Daphne, tell folks where they can find you.
You can head over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites. But I mostly post to Facebook, where I post up previews and work in progress, where I'm currently finishing up this short story for Indie Revolt issue that's coming out in October. Issue 3. So I'm working on that right now. And you can also, at egoworks.com, you can check out the first 5 issues of Ego Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, in its original black and white format. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of like a Lord of the Rings type, you can follow the link to Tall Tales, TAILSonline.com, and read the first 20 issues of Tall Tales for free. And don't forget to sign up for my newsletter, because I have hella campaigns still, ready to go for the rest of the year, so you don't want to miss anything. So,
Hella campaigns. There we
hella
go.
campaigns.
Jacques Kirby. Tell folks how they can find you.
The KYD_V. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, on Twitter. I'm trying. I know we promised to get out here at 11 o'clock today because.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Today's a long day. Today we have things to do.
We promised Needed and Meredith that we'd be out at 11. Remember?
Oh, did we?
Right.
Yeah.
We're 10 minutes over.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't forget, everybody, Liberty Entertainment Distribution, www.ledg.us. And that's HeroBot. Anyway. Look for Arrow Comics online all over. We have a link tree for a directory, Instagram, a number of Facebook pages now, Friends of Arrow Comics 4.0 just opened up this week. So go over there and join that. Arrow Comics 4.0 over on YouTube for videos, and over on Twitter. And you can find me over on Twitter as Randy Zim. Over on Facebook, you can find me as Randy Zimmerman. And we're real happy to be part of the Indie Volt Radio Network. We will be back next Sunday, of course, Sunday morning for another edition of Sunday Funnies. But we are also coming back later today with an episode of Special Issues. That boom, right there.
What are the numbers today, Randy? Do we know?
I have no idea. Varian, what are the numbers?
I don't have them.
He doesn't have them.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
He hasn't cranked up that machine yet. It takes a little while for the battery to catch on and the wires to anyway. Look for tonight, Indie Volt Special Issues. We are unearthing Terraform as a comic company in order to give everyone a lesson, hopefully, in I don't know what you would call it, in the good and the bad and the ugly of comic book creation.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, be on the lookout for Arrow Comics 4.0 beginning up in August, available through Liberty Distribution, Hybrids, Hero Bot Zero, Only Death Can Save Us, and Revolt #1 will be available in August. Revolt #2, Hybrids #2, Paragon #1, and Calico Shard #1 will be available in September. So we're looking forward to bringing those to you, and we hope that you enjoy them as much as I'm having a blast putting them together. So it just doesn't slow down unless you want it to, you know.
That's true.
Anything else, Mr. Varian? We have the award show coming up on the 18th. We want to remind everybody about. Go over to IndieVoltAwards.com for more information on that. We want to thank everybody in the chat today, especially the first timer, Courtney H. Thank you so much. She says, great panel. I subbed after watching Lurking for months.
Oh, so we didn't scare you off then. Thank you.
we do appreciate everybody listening. We appreciate everybody that's here.
Hey.
Go ahead.
Took me time. Daphne almost scared me off.
Right, there you go.
As Varian loves to say, please leave this industry in a better condition than when you found it. And Daphne, what do you say?
Buy independent comics, especially ours.
There we go. Everyone take care. We're gonna we didn't even have an opening this morning. So why have a closing?
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah.
We'll just end by telling people to take care. We'll run a couple of videos and then we'll be done. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend. See you tonight. By the way, it's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for that special issues program. Tuesday evenings at 9 p.m. is a live wire. Thursday morning at 9 a.m. is the Breakfast Buzz. Then Geekgasm on Wednesdays at 9 p.m. for a feminine perspective of geekery run by the Indie Princess and Daphne and Nita and Meredith occasionally. Yeah. So everyone take care. We'll see you soon. See you later tonight, 9 p.m. for Unearthing Terraform. Really looking forward to that. So take care now. See ya.
See ya.
How dare you?
Yay! Yay! Think about what you've accomplished.
Can't nobody tell me nothing.
Do you draw the Flintstones naked?